Hello and welcome to C-Suite Secrets. I'm Heather Parsons, your host. I'm a serial entrepreneur, fractional CFO, and a business strategist. I've spent years juggling business and family life while helping entrepreneurs scale, optimize cash flow, and build real financial success. On our show, we bring you real conversations with founders and executives about what actually moves the needle in business. No fluff, no filler, just smart strategy, systems that work, and insights that you can put to use in your business right away. With that, let's dive right in. Today on our show, we have Marilyn Jenkins. Marilyn, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Glad to have you. I'm excited about our conversation today.
Absolutely.
For folks who don't know you and aren't familiar with your business, I'd love it if you could tell us just a little bit about your story and how you got started out as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I've been an entrepreneur since a child. It's really crazy, but I've always loved working for myself and growing something. And as far as digital marketing, I've been in digital marketing since the 90s. So seen a lot of changes. And as is typical, I started out building websites when people said, I need a website. And then, okay, now I need help getting traffic to it. So it's been helping businesses from the beginning learn why you need to have an online presence and then optimizing that. So it's actually revenue generating. And I've just been very fortunate to have had several businesses grow them and then exit and develop some great good A players along the way. Yeah, just excited and always excited to share things that were working and answer questions on how things can get better.
Love it. You know, I know whenever you and I talked before, you'd mentioned you've been in business since the 90s and you've been doing remote work since before it was popular
Yeah.
and COVID. So, what did you understand early that a lot of business owners are just now catching up on?
When it comes to remote work specifically,
Yeah,
most people's real fear is I won't have the discipline to do it. And I find that that wasn't an issue for me. And I don't think it's been an issue for most people that I've worked with. It's just a drive to get something done. I think you have to accept the fact that you have, time that you need to get your work done. But spaced in that is time to sit on the couch with the kitty for a little bit or, just take a break. But yeah, I think discipline is the big thing. And running a business and just what needs to be done, and it's just that drive.
I love that. And I see the same thing. I find being in a corporate environment or being in a small business, people who are going to struggle with discipline struggle whether they're in the office or they're at home working.
Yeah,
So it doesn't really make a difference if they're remote work, if they're in the office, that discipline shows up whether they're in any environment.
true. That's true.
So you work with a lot of law firms and service-based businesses. What do they do that really drew you to their profession? And what do you see smart professionals understand that most about turning your expertise into a real business?
I think what makes my clients appeal to me is that service based, right? So they're looking to have, especially with attorneys or even some home services, you're getting called on someone's worst day, right? And so it's part of
Yeah,
your business to make them, help them. And I just love the customer service aspect of it. World class service makes clients happy. And I love being able to help bring in new clients for them to help and, grow their business at the same time and solve people's problems.
I love that. And I love the solving people's problems aspect of what you're talking about and what you're doing. You'd mentioned earlier about generating revenue. I know that for a lot of these businesses, whenever they look at marketing and advertising, the revenue side is something that's really important. How do you help them not just with the ad side of things, but to actually convert that into revenue?
A lot of it's coaching and the nurturing of the leads. So of course, we want to get new clients, we want to get leads, but you know, most people that say they have a lead generation problem, they really have an intake problem, right? Look at the Better Business Bureau that says 67% of incoming calls to small businesses go unanswered. So if you're
Mm,
running marketing, that's not necessarily an expense as an ROI platform. So we can bring in leads, we can bring in new customers, but you have to answer the phone. You have to follow up with these people. One step that my company takes is we set up a 5-day email and text message sequence for every lead that comes through. So we want you to reach out to them every day for 5 days. Sounds like a lot, but think about your life. You've got everything going on, whether you're, picking the kids up or soccer practice or any of those things. So any different time of day would be great. But I think it's, the business owner has to understand that we can only do so much to help you grow. You have to pick up the slack and actually make sure you finish delivering to the client.
I like that a lot. Whenever I'm working with entrepreneurs, one of the things that I really run into is they're doing it all. So a lot of business owners say that they want help, but they're the bottleneck.
Yeah.
So how do you know when being involved for some of these business owners has turned into control that's really hurting their growth?
I try to get them to explain to me their process to start with. And I think when I ask that question, a lot of the times they haven't really thought it through. Now, if they're a bigger business, so say a home services with multiple trucks, they've got a process, right? If they're smaller, they are just handling things as they come, whether you're getting a new client or putting out fires. So I think having someone, if you can sit down and analyze your process, do you even have a process? And that's where you find out that you're the bottleneck. And we can't, as much as we feel like we started the business, we own it. This is our baby. Nobody can do the job better than I can. If you can find somebody that can do the job at 80% or 90% that you would, that's a win. You need to delegate and move on.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. I think it's Dan Martell who says 80% done by somebody else is 100% awesome. And I couldn't agree more. I think the more that as founders we get out of our own way, the better off we are in business.
Well, the lovely part is there's always someone out there that loves doing what you don't love to do. So you need to find that
Right.
person, put them in there. And normally the things you don't like to do are a lower cost per hour type thing than what you should be doing. So find somebody to do that, whether it's data entry, answering the phones, any type of thing, research, get it off your plate.
Absolutely. So, whenever you're coming in to work with some of these businesses, what are some of the things that you work with them to get off their plate if they're trying to do too much, especially in the marketing arena?
A lot of it is messaging, right? So we want to make sure that we have a brand board, so we know your colors, your fonts, and all that kind of stuff, and then what you want to say and what customer you want. So we come up with that, and we run everything by the business owner, obviously. And what we're trying to do is going, okay, let's put everything out in the message that we need to get them to make a decision to call you and be pre-sold. That saves you time. And so we work with the messaging. We also offer a 24/7 bilingual call center that can actually manage these leads for you, do the nurture, do the follow up, or even go so far as to capture your incoming phone calls.
I love that because, going back to that, I talk a lot about entrepreneurship as a team sport. And I love how you were talking a moment ago about, there's always somebody out there who's really good at things that you really don't like to do or kind of suck at.
Yeah,
So having somebody who's great at answering the phone really frees up a lot of time for folks to do other things.
right.
And I know you teach marketing a lot.
Yeah.
So what are most business owners focused on that doesn't actually move the needle that they might want to stop doing?
I think some of them are just, they're posting on Facebook, but they're not, posting quality stuff or stuff that really tells a story. Now you need to get your personality out there, obviously, but there's so much more you could be doing. And I like to really focus on the Google Business Profile when we're looking at growing a local presence. That's where people are going to go. Think about when you're a consumer. You type into Google local Italian restaurant, and it's going to give you
Yeah.
the first one, right? Or the ones closest to you. So that's how you want to be in the map pack to get more clients and more phone calls. So that's what we try to do is say, okay, let's take the efforts that you're doing. Are they really moving the needle for you? And if not, how can we move the needle for you?
That's some great advice. And talking about Google Business Profile, I'd love to talk a little bit about AI and how AI has changed some of that a little bit. And because I know right now, if I'm searching for a local Italian restaurant, I want to go in AI mode,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I want to ask it some follow up questions. So, how can business owners be relevant in that space while AI is doing all of this crawling on websites and trying to figure out what to put in their results as well?
Well, it's twofold, right? So you need to keep doing everything you're doing on your Google business profile, which is at least one update a week so that Google sees that you're interactive, right? Google's the largest search engine because it gives a good user experience. So if you are giving information or updates every week, you are interested in that good user experience, and Google will give you a better rating, could give you a better rating because of that. Now, to be found in the AI mode, you need to put more content on your website and on offsite, like your Facebook, your LinkedIn, that sort of thing. That's in the way people speak, right? You wouldn't actually pick up the phone and go, local Italian restaurant, right?
No.
So, but you would ask a question, what's the best local Italian restaurant near me? So you want to
Yeah.
think about your, especially if the lowest hanging fruit to fix is your FAQs. Are your FAQs more like bullet points with answers, or are they questions that people would actually enunciate, right? And that's where you're going to get found in the AI mode, in the series and the Hey Googles and all of that.
That's some great advice, and you mentioned posting on Facebook. So, one of the things that I see as I work with entrepreneurs is they have a lot of these great ideas, but they really struggle with implementing them. So, why do so many businesses sit on content and delay posting or getting their information out there?
They're busy running their business. I think it's kind of like those spinning plates in the air we've seen in the old, comedy routines. How many plates can you spin and still grow your business and make money and pay your payroll and save for a rainy day or take that vacation or spend Friday afternoon watching your kids play ball? There's some things you need to delegate. And if you don't have time for everything, if your business is not growing, your business is dying. And marketing is a growth factor for your business. So if you don't have time, you need to find someone that can do that for you.
Absolutely. Again, I couldn't agree more. I as I talk to some of these entrepreneurs, I don't think they realize how affordable it is to
Sure.
find some of that help these days. Because I know whenever I was first starting out in business, I was thinking, whenever I thought about advertising, because I'm not as young as some folks around, I think about TV ads or marketing, and I think it's super duper expensive.
Hmm.
So if somebody is on a budget or trying to think through some of that, what are some things that they should think about that makes a difference, but maybe doesn't break the bank?
I would think two things. Okay, so it's cheaper to keep a current client than it is to get a new one. So let's go back to business
Facts.
basics, right? Exactly.
Absolutely.
So, how can you cultivate your current client base to get new clients? All right, that's free, right? Other than setting up a monthly newsletter or something like that to reach out to people. Second is going to be, we want new clients. What specific type of clients we want? I mean, meta ads, which is Facebook and Instagram, is where you can get the largest demographic, the grandparents to the grandchildren, the whole series of generations. And those are actually inexpensive ads to run. So I would want to find out, what is my customer lifetime value? What am I willing to spend to get a new customer? And go from there. Now you know what your budget could be to get, can I handle 5 new clients this month? If I'm home services, can I handle 50? Right? What do I have capacity for before I need to get a new truck or a new crew? Right? So you think about those, but your cost per acquisition, you need to figure out, what am I willing to spend? If a client is going to spend, say, $500 with you a month, or say $3,000 a month, then your theory should be, if my profit margin is 50%, I should be willing to pay that 50% to get a new client. Now, will it cost that? Probably not. Now, will it cost more in the beginning if you're running ads? Yes, there is a data purchasing type learning system, but month 2 is better than month 1, month 3 is better than month 2, and then doing it right, you will get better and better results each month.
I love that. Just thinking about posting these ads on Facebook, I love what you're saying about keeping your current clients.
Yes.
As I work with folks, I think that is one of the most fundamental, pivotal things that entrepreneurs can do And if they don't have a monthly recurring revenue option where they can, especially for home services, because a lot of times I see that they fire and forget, right? They do a job for somebody and then they don't go back and talk to them. They don't reach back out. So because they don't have a monthly recurring revenue option. So the more they can bring that in and continue to touch base with these folks, I think the easier it is to get essentially free revenue, right? So free coming in, you don't have to pay for meta ads, you don't have to do all of these things. Are you seeing the same thing? I know you've been in business. This is not your first business, right?
Right.
So how have you seen this work out in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right that entrepreneurs don't think about, I have got a gold mine sitting here. So if you've got raving fans as clients already, why aren't you asking them for referrals? Right? In your monthly newsletter. And I know that sounds like a commitment, but it is. Something has happened every month in your business or in your industry that you can tell your customers about. And not just your customers, every lead you've ever had. You can, it's not spam if you have worked with them in the past. Give them the opportunity to opt out, but get in touch with all these people. You don't know what's changed in your customers' lives or past, especially if you're a one-off service. You don't know what's changed, that maybe they'll have a need and they used you before. And I mean, how many times have you used, say, a plumber and you only needed them until like 6 years ago or whatever? And you're like, oh, who was that? Oh, I'll just Google it. Well, now, if that
Yep.
plumber had been staying in touch with you, who are you going to call?
Yeah, he's going to get the call because you get that touch point,
Yeah.
right? Because I truly believe that people still want to do business with people,
Yeah.
not AI, not somebody that they don't know. There's a trust factor that still has to be built there.
Mm-hmm.
And in the home services space in particular, talking about plumbers, electricians, if you showed up to my house or one of my properties, you didn't leave me a mess, you
Right.
charged me a reasonable rate, I would love to continue giving you the business. And I think most people feel that way. You just don't necessarily think about them.
True. I mean, it's a big step to trust someone in your home, especially if you have
Right.
children at home. So I've used ABC plumbers before. I really appreciated how they kept everything tidy. It was a great job. I'm happy. So you should stay in touch with me, ABC plumber, because I might have a
Yeah.
need. You never know, right? Things change day in and day out. You don't know. It's same for lawyers. Why not send a message out and say, how are things going? Is there anything I can help you with? Or do you know anybody I can help? Because you never know if someone's going through an issue or, oh, yeah, if they were really helpful before, I should call them again about this.
Yeah, and on the legal side of things, I think, you may not think about stuff like, hey, are your business docs up to date?
Yeah.
When's the last time that you had, a year-end meeting? When is the last time that you've done some of these other things that I think if they would prompt people to do them,
Hmm.
which helps them stay in compliance, especially if they have an LLC or S corps or other things like that,
Exactly.
then that attorney is going to be a top of mind because even if I don't need an attorney all the time, I go to lunch and dinner with people who need one more often than not, just because they're in business. Not that anything's wrong, but that's just the nature of life, right? You've
Yeah.
got to do documents, you have to do state filings, you have to do all of these things as an entrepreneur. And if somebody could help make just one of those easier,
Well,
then
think
your
about
life is a
employment
lot better.
manuals. I mean, employment
Yeah.
manual, every year something changes. I talked to a business attorney not too long ago that had someone come in and goes, "Well, I've never actually had my contracts looked at."
Whew.
He'd been in business for like 18 years, and the reason he's having his contract looked at is someone did something outside of his contract, and they went, "Yeah, whatever, it's not a good contract."
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, there's just those types of things, but then you also think about the people that when you ask them what they're doing for new business, they say, "Oh, word of mouth," but they're not cultivating word of mouth. So with word of mouth, it's like it's not consistent revenue. So that consistent touch point of a monthly newsletter out to your lead list, that makes that word of mouth, if you will, into an actual consistent growth stream.
I love it. One of the things that I'm talking about in the month of February, or not February, March, sorry if I can get my dates right, is talking about revenue and the fact that it's such a lagging indicator. And all of the things that you're talking about here are what drives to that revenue.
Mhm.
Because I really want to work with my clients to say, okay, this is your revenue number. but what did you do to drive that, right? Because I feel like people just look at that number and think it magically appears. But what you and I are discussing is what actually drives that.
Right.
So I'd love it if you could share a little bit about what's actually mattering right now as they're reaching out to people, because I know whenever we start to look at driving revenue, we're looking at, okay, how many of those newsletters did we get opened? What's our customer acquisition cost? We're trying to get super granular because we want that revenue number to be something that is 100% in our control,
Right.
right? It should not be a guess at the end of the day.
That's right. And I think asking, part of your process should always be asking, how did you hear about us? Now, I got to be honest. I had a call the other day and I completely forgot to ask, and so I hung up and I'm like, but it still should be part of your process. How did you hear about us? Right now, which platform is working. And then always at the end of a successful project, job, whatever, ask for a review. So with Google reviews, I mean, Amazon's the one that made us all read reviews, right? And trust them. So
Yep.
that is a driving factor. People, ask for that Google review. Obviously, you can't incentivize. That's against terms of service, but ask for an honest review and make that part of your process. But always ask, how did somebody hear from you? Keep track of that. And you can see what you need to double down on, what needs work, and if you're getting a lot of, well, Heather used you and loved you and said I should call you. Well, your newsletter's working, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point, because if you don't ask, you don't know.
Right.
And the same goes with the referrals. If you don't ask for a referral, you're definitely not going to get one. And I find that it's super helpful. BNI is a great tool. It at least teaches you a few things in business.
Mm-hmm.
Tell people what kind of referral you're looking for. How have you helped somebody recently, so that they know when to think about you.
Right.
Not just, I don't want to help clients who, are brand new in business. So I wouldn't lead with that. Hey, if
Right.
you know somebody who's been in business for a little while, they've been growing, and they could use a little help with their finances. That's not necessarily their strong suit. I'd love to chat. Those are the sort of things I think really makes a difference. And then on top of things like what you're talking about with the newsletter and getting information out there, I see, this is an ad that worked on me recently, is stuff that I see pop up on Facebook. After you see that same clip for the 500th time, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go look and see what it is. What is this actually about? So I find it interesting, especially in the marketing space. How long does it usually take somebody to see those ads or information popping up before they get curious enough to click through and learn what you're all about?
Agreed. And what we do is we try to accelerate that by offering multiple creatives. So when you see a video come across your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed, you're seeing one. They probably have anywhere from 3 to 10 or 12 that are out there. But for some reason, the algorithm has chosen to show you that one. But if you do anything with that one, you're going to get a different one. So what we do is we have multiple creatives that go out to the defined audience, so that it's called just not letting your audience fatigue. You want to give them different things to see. Then once they click on it, they see something different, which is typically like testimonials or case studies. So you've got your, as they say, top of the funnel, people who don't know who you are, but they fit your ideal client profile. I want to show them a certain ad. And then once they interact, whether it's going to my website, my Facebook page, or clicking on the ad, I want to show them something, proof of work I've done. So that's what we do for our clients, is you want to just build that relationship until they either pick up the phone and call you or book a time. And now they feel like they know you. And if we do intro videos, those types of things, you're already building your know, like, and trust factor with those potential new clients ahead of time.
I like that, because I think that, like know and trust factor that you're talking about really makes a difference. So as we think about small businesses, what are you seeing that is one myth that needs to die in marketing today, or something that entrepreneurs need to start doing in their business?
I think the fact that it's too expensive, you're not looking at all the options. If we were still back in the days of yellow pages and TV ads, radio ads, Yeah, it was very, very hard for a small business to compete in that type of in time. But now with what you've got, we've got social media, we've got all the different things in YouTube, you've got a phone that you can record 4K video on. So, explore your options. And there are a lot of ways to get your information out there. Use Facebook to start building your business and showing people who you are and that you're a regular person. Do specific regular updates and just start getting people to go, look, she dropped something on Wednesday. Wait, let's go see what happened. So I think that's the biggest myth is that I've seen is that it's too expensive to do, and it's really not. I mean, literally for $10 a day ad spend on Meta, you could make a dent. But the other thing is you need to start answering your phones. Now, if you're running local service ads and you've told Google that you're open 24/7, which many home services say that, if you don't answer your phone after hours, they will stop showing your ads because you are clearly not 24/7. So that's one of the reasons our call center and intake services is such a benefit for our clients. But those are little things. What are you spending money on that you're not doing correctly or it's not paying you? And then if you're not doing any marketing at all online, you really should consider it because your competition will be doing it.
That's great to know. I had no clue about that with them stopping your ads. So, for folks like that, when it comes to answering the phones, especially for home services or services in general, people who are owning the business, operating, wearing a lot of these hats, what are some of the things that they should think about to make sure, whether they're using a service like yours or they're outsourcing or bringing somebody in, to make sure that phone does get answered?
Well, you need to have your front desk staff, or if you're the one answering the phone after hours, you need to be really diligent about it. So here's the thing with the local service ads. You're spending $200 to $2,000 a week to get your name out there. I mean, it's big. But when someone clicks on your ad, before the phone rings, they get the opportunity to reach out to 4 other companies. You will get the first phone call. It's a little tick mark now in LSAs whenever you click on the ad. So you have the opportunity for the first call. And whoever gets that call first and with a certain amount of time will get that lead. And if you miss it, or if you took too long to disqualify somebody, you still pay for it and you're not getting that money back. So the key is make sure that whoever's managing your calls is diligent about it. They're quick, and your intake needs to be, and I say intake, so this is whoever's managing your phone, knowledgeable about your service to quickly qualify or disqualify a lead in a friendly manner. So this is the very first step of a relationship is the person who answers the phone.
I love that. And I think that goes right back to what we were talking about initially about discipline. You know, if we're going to offer these things, we need to make sure that it's available.
That's right.
And I know that's a little bit harder when it comes to answering phone calls because if your phone is anything like mine, I get about 75 spam phone calls a day. And you've got to weed through those. And it's just part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's, again, with small businesses, if you just answer the phone, you're going to grow your business.
I love it. So I know we talked a lot about marketing and a lot about growing a business. So a lot of founders really want to take Friday off with their kids or step away to do day-to-day things, but they don't know if their business can support it. From your side, what are some of the signs that a business is ready for the next level of leadership or somebody to come in and help with some of the day-to-day operations?
If I was a business owner, I would disappear for a day and see what's broken.
Ooh.
Right? If you've trained your team, you've delegated for responsibility and accountability, you can leave for a day. You could leave for a week. So it also comes down to capacity of your employees. But what have you done as the business owner to empower your team to make decisions in your absence? That's, again, the things that I don't enjoy doing, I've hired people to do. The same with bookkeeping and any of that kind of stuff. I don't enjoy that. I'm good with numbers. I'm a technologist, right? But I'm not going to do my own books. I have somebody else do that. So it's just you find somebody and you delegate. If you have comfortably delegated and you actually have time, you can afford to grow your business and bring on someone new. But then when you get to like 70 to 80% capacity in one position, that's when we bring on someone new. That gives us a 30% runtime to get that new person up to speed.
I love that. That is some great advice. I think a lot of us want to step away, but it becomes more and more difficult, especially as our business grows and we reach those thresholds where we're trying to level up. So I
Mhm.
love what you're saying. That's some great business advice. Marilyn, I've really enjoyed our conversation today. So before we wrap up, I have one last question. So as an entrepreneur, what is one secret that you wish you would have known starting out as an entrepreneur?
I'd have to say the delegation part. I, yes, I can do it faster and better, or I can do it faster because I designed it. That doesn't mean it's better. Delegating and listening to my team, what my team member says. We have brainstorming sessions of how we can do better, do something better, or serve a client better. And it's been educational on both sides, mine and theirs. So I don't have all the answers. I have the first answers. Don't be the only one. Yeah, I think it's just sharing it and delegating and getting some stuff off your plate and giving other people responsibility has given me a lot.
I love that. So thank you again. And before we wrap up, where can our listeners connect with you or learn more about what you're working on?
It has been a pleasure. I really enjoyed the conversation. And you can learn more about me on LinkedIn. I'm Marilyn Jenkins, Marilyn spelled like Monroe. And you can find more about my company at mjmediagroup.co and lawmarketingzone.com.
I love it. Thank you again, Marilyn. And thank you to everybody for listening to C Suite Secrets. If you have found today's conversation as valuable as I have, be sure to hit that like and follow button and share this episode with somebody who's growing a business. If you're at the point where you're working hard in your business and your business is growing, but you're not keeping more of your cash, or you don't feel like that your finances are clear, that's exactly why we built One Room. It's a hands-on way to simplify your numbers, understand what's actually driving profit in your business, and start making smart decisions like a CEO, not just reacting every day. If you want more information between episodes, join us on C-Suite Insiders on Facebook, or come find me on Instagram at Heather Parsons Official. Until next time, keep growing, and remember, you don't have to do this alone.